Hey, everybody. Welcome to Liberty Libations. As usual, we have Alden and Steven here, and then we have a multiple-time returning guest now, Sean Kennedy. And then joining us for the first time ever is Robert Chernin. Sorry, I can hear
Nice to
myself
be
now.
here.
It's really throwing me off.
Yeah.
If anybody's not using
headphones,
I think it might be Kennedy.
Sean. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. Anyway,
I thought
I should be
wait a
able to
minute.
go through that, but I'm not that professional.
You guys always told me that Alden was responsible for anything that screws up.
Yeah.
You're changing the narrative, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Confirmed it was Kennedy. I took him out. Now I can't hear it. So we're good.
But it's my fault because I should have told him to put on headphones. So
yeah, definitely. That was your one job.
Yeah.
But, all right. We only have 30 minutes with Robert, so I'm going to try to not goof off as much as normal. But because I want to hear from you. So you're here. Your organization, ASEK, is there a
ASEK,
full
the
short
American
way to-
Center.
ASEK.
ASEK is the American Center for Education and Knowledge.
All right. And I pulled that up, and the very first thing I see real big is defending American exceptionalism. So I remember when I was in school, we heard that American exceptionalism was like this manifest destiny thing where Americans just feel like they can do whatever they want. And that seems to be like the more leftist definition of it. What would your definition be? Because I bet it's not that.
So you have to remember that it's certainly not that. American exceptionalism is understanding that America is still the great experiment, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That was radical back in the day. The fact that the legitimacy of political power is from the consent of the governed, i.e. from the bottom up. That's what makes America exceptional, is that the leaders are supposed to govern with the consent of the governed. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the start of it. The other thing to understand is that these are rights coming from God, right? It is a non-denominational God. It says, we are endowed by the Creator with these inalienable rights. That's not necessarily manifest destiny, right? That's American exceptionalism because it's all about freedom, personal responsibility, right? And looking after your neighbor. That's what makes American exceptional. You have to remember, America is not held together by caste or creed, right? We're not all the same ethnic group, right? We didn't all come over on the same boat. American exceptionalism is a common set of ideals that has, up until now, I would argue, with wokeism, has bound us together. That's what makes America exceptional, not some manifest destiny that, America's better than anybody in the world. That's a crock of crap that, the left will try to feed you to try to cut down the whole concept because they don't want to talk about it.
All right. So I'm not making it up. That was sort of like the definition I learned in school, right? Is, because I've always heard it from the left as like a bad thing. Like, it's, displacing people and colonialism, and that's American exceptionalism. But that's not the understanding that I had at all.
And it's also not like, the modern day, like, crush a beer can on your forehead. I'm the best. If you disagree with me, I'll go punch your dad in the face. It's not that either. It's exactly what Robert said. It's the system of government that we had in place. What makes us great. Every society has its winners and losers. So
but American exceptionalism are also that it's the inalienable rights, right? The rights that are, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That these rights come from God, not from man, not from monarch, right? That's what makes America exceptional. Because think about it. Name another country in the history that you know of where that happened. Even in countries that we were friendly with, obviously Mother England, right? There was a monarch, right? So there is no other country where the power is supposed to flow from the bottom up. We've gotten away from that with the administrative state and a lot of other things. But if you go down to the two seminal founding documents, right? The Declaration of Independence, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That was radical back then. All men were not considered to be created equal. And I grant you there are issues with, with slavery and other things. It's an imperfect union. And then it's the Constitution that embodies power flowing from the bottom up and a Bill of Rights to protect you from the government, basically.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, because you just said we've veered from this a little bit over the years. When do you think, and like what systems are in place that have started to push us away from that more, where we have less that consent of the governed and like power to the people, and more now people protected in office that are, it feels like it's starting to flip, where we don't see the same kind of power to the people that we once kind of did. At least I don't think so. But
So, Alden, is that a question as to when did it start, or where are we at? Because those are two
I'm
very
sorry, I'm
different
bad
answers.
at asking questions. However you
No,
would
you're
like
not.
to go about this. But yeah.
But well, actually, first of all, this is Liberty Libation. So, cheers, guys. So, I mean, wine is for wisdom and beer is for freedom. You can see I'm more for trying to be wise because I don't believe we're free anymore. So I figured,
Fair, okay.
I did skip the part where normally we go around the horn and say what we're drinking, but was trying not to dilly dally as much. But what do you got there, Robert?
So it is a Pinot Noir. It's a 2016 Bergstrom Pinot Noir. Gregory Pinot Noir from Oregon. It's light. It's lovely. It's nice. It's I'm not. I mean, I'll probably turn off your listeners. I'm just not a beer guy.
That's all right.
That's okay. Our one and only sponsor so far is wine. So
even better. Well, here's looking down your barrel, gentlemen. I mean, and any excuse to drink a nice red wine. And by the way, I don't drink white. White doesn't exist in my world. I know there are people who love white, but there's red wine. There's everything else.
Some of my favorite Pinots come out of Oregon, honestly.
Willamette Valley, for sure. So, all right, Alden, back to the question. The question is, when did we lose? When did American exceptionalism start slipping away? I would tell you that it's probably because I'm no fan of the Clintons, that in the 90s, and I've been in politics since the mid 90s. But really, when you think about it, and I'm a sort of a soft historian in the sense that, you go back to Eisenhower's farewell speech where he talked about beware the military industrial complex.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Right. So the seeds of it were there for a long time. I think where it really went off the rails is it started in certainly in my mind in 92 with the Clintons. And then you go back to the Buddhist temple fundraiser and, bringing China into the WTO and a lot of, the money that started to come in internationally, even though they say it wasn't, it really did. But where I think it really went off the rails was in 2008 with Barack Obama. I think Obama is the Manchurian candidate, right? I think that, and I'm not even getting into where he was born or wasn't born. I'm not playing that game, right? But I think 5 days before the election, you had then candidate Barack Obama in Colorado said, and I quote, "We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America." And everyone thought about this hope and change thing. And we forgot to really understand, to take him at his word. And I think, there was something when I was looking at your website about divide and something about divide and conquer. And that's what I think he did. I think there's the 3 Ds, the demonize, demagogue, and divide, right? Which is right out of a book called Rules for Radicals. If you haven't read it, you should. He pitted men against women, black against white, rich against poor. Every fissure in society, he started pitting us against each other, and they used political correctness to silence the opposition, whether it was through ridicule or other things. We started with safe spaces on campus, and then you went to safe universities, and then you're going back. Now we're going back to segregated events, for God's sakes, right? So I think that's one piece of it. I think the other piece is that when Obama got in power, the federal bureaucracy is now seeded, SEEDED, with bureaucrats that you cannot fire because they're unionized, who are sort of a government within the government. And the Supreme Court has just overturned the Chevron deference rule, which allowed the administrative state to interpret congressional rules or congressional laws if they're vague. So they would always use that to sort of feed the beast. The beast is themselves. So again, I can keep going on, but I think that's really where the divide is, or where it sort of really went off the rails. But we're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming America. And I would argue Joe Biden wasn't really the president, because everyone knows that Barack Obama was really making these decisions, or his people. There's a reason he's still
tie his own shoes. No way he was president. Yeah.
Right. And then you've got Kamala Harris, who is arguably going to be the 4th term of Barack Obama, should she win.
I tend to agree with you on a lot of it, especially when you went back and said the seeds of it were planted maybe even 70 years ago or whatever, talking about Eisenhower and things like that. And I also take issue though with I tend to think of the two-party system as kind of this illusion of choice, and that there's a stranglehold on the country from the deep state, and that we're given these quote unquote options, and it's like the pendulum going back and forth, and the machinery that chooses these sides is more in control than the presidents themselves. I agree that I don't think that Biden is making a whole lot of actually powerful decisions, but I also think that the whole Bush's situation was, you have like the director of the CIA, with Bush Sr. I don't like someone that rooted in intelligence then going on to be president, and then he kind of has his whole family is in different positions. I think Dick Cheney was kind of in charge more than Bush Jr., than a lot of people like to believe or realize or whatever. Curious about your side of that, because I'm also not a fan of the Clintons, and I take issue with a lot of things that Obama did, but was wondering on the other side of the Republican Party, how you feel about that in modern days.
So let me answer that in two ways, Alden. So number one, at this point, well, let me back up. I think years ago, and I'm old enough to remember, years ago, there was a real two-party system, and we may have disagreed on methodologies, but we agreed on the goals. We agreed on where the country should be going. We just disagreed on how to get there, right? Mm-hmm. We now no longer agree on even the goals, let alone the methodologies, and we have vilified, and made the other side the enemy. I would argue that's 24/7 news and a variety of other things that tried to sanitize what is inherently, politics is inherently when I say dirty, I don't mean illegal. There is some of that, but a dirty sort of, it's like sausage making, right? It's this ugly, bloody process, but if you do it right, generally the end product is something that's consumable. But I think at this point, to go to your point, Alden, and I'll get to the Republican question in a second, but I'll answer it this way, is that right now there's an illusion between left and right, because first of all, the spectrum of politics is not linear, it's circular. If you go too far right, you end up left. If you go too far left, you end up right. And it's a question of whether it's cult of personality or it's sort of an oligarchy and it's the autocracy, right? Really, it's top versus bottom now. They won't tell you that. There is an entrenched elite in Washington. That doesn't mean that there aren't good people on both sides. I would argue that the Democrats certainly have sold their souls to the progressive wing of the party to stay in power. But in all fairness, full disclosure, so I did a lot of work and was a very big George W. Bush supporter and ran the Jewish outreach for the country for him in 2004. So I've done a lot of that. A finer man you won't find. Now, did he make mistakes? There's no president that doesn't make mistakes. They all make mistakes. And I don't have to agree with everything that every president does, but I judge you by your intentions and by sort of your heart. In that respects, I would say people like the Clintons, and especially Hillary Clinton, is really about power and about money. And you can go back to, I forget, she was on the Watergate Commission, and I forget who her boss was, who absolutely castigated her for having no morals and no rudder, and that she was absolutely she didn't use the word sociopath, but that was pretty close to what he intended. Mm-hmm. So, again, I know there are people that think that she is the second coming, and I understand that, but everything I see goes back to Obama changed the worldview. Obama, regardless of where he grew up, saw the United States as an occupier, an oppressor country, a colonial power, and that's the lens through which he saw and sees everything. And that is now the prevailing lens in the Democratic Party. I mean, think about it. The Republicans used to be the party of the rich and the wealthy, right? The Rockefeller Party. Now it's the working man's party. And I lived through Reagan where those blue dog Democrats crossed over. So again, I'm not sure I've answered your question, but there's a lot to this. I would just argue that the system itself, it's like Ronald Reagan said, "Hi, I'm from the the words you have to fear most are, hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you."
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but it's changed over time. So again, I'm not sure I've answered your question, but.
Yeah, no, I was interested in your take on it. And I'll add one little detail of just one of my least favorite things that Obama and the Obama administration did was to basically cancel the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 or whatever it was, that said, it was after World War II and we were watching what Nazi Germany was doing, and we were like, oops, let's not do that with our media. And they made it illegal for the media to disseminate false information and spread propaganda and various other things, whether independently or at the behest of the government or whatever. And he was like, let's do away with that. Like, let's basically make it so that there's no legal recourse available if news media wanted to start disseminating harmful propaganda, information, like for one cause or another, or against its own country, or what have you. And that's pretty nefarious. And I think that I've had problems with the media even before then, but it got even worse since then. And is a really telling thing that you would.
But it totally backfired on him too, though, because then Congress tried to come down on Rush Limbaugh. Because don't forget, Nancy Pelosi, when she first became Speaker of the House, it was the first time in American history the House had gotten together to call a private citizen a big doo-doo head and send that decree to what they thought was their boss. And they actually sent that letter to Cumulus Media. And Rush Limbaugh, I remember him reading that on air and laughing, because you can't do anything to me. I'm not going to get fired. My show's carried over the airlines, over the phone lines. That Cumulus just dials in and carries it. And I remember he raffled off that official congressional decree. He raffled it off and sent some Marines to college, and it was so awesome.
Well, now we have Alex Jones instead of him kind of taking the weird heat and setting a precedent for like lawsuits and what can pass and not pass and whatever.
Right.
So I'm curious, you said Obama's a Manchurian candidate, and how deep does that go? Is he just somebody who like genuinely lived his entire life to do the right thing to become president? Or is he, propped up by just the Democrats, or is he go further and he's like a deep state creation? Do you have any thoughts on like where in that spectrum he might be?
Well, I think you just need to go back and find out. Go back and research the records on Obama and his time at Columbia. Go back and research his time at Harvard. Go back into Chicago and research the church that he attended. Go back and research who his financial backers were. Go back and find out who his teachers were. And then I think you can answer that question for yourself. Right? I mean, it is fairly self-evident that it's sort of like Al Gore. He was groomed to be president, didn't make it. He was groomed to be president. Gavin Newsom has been groomed by the San Francisco elite to be president. Don't think he's making it either. But Obama was. But you've got to go back and do that research, right? I've said what I've said. I believe he's the Manchurian candidate. I believe that he has he sees America as not a just and good nation, and it doesn't mean we're perfect. Lord knows we've made mistakes, and you can start at slavery and you can keep on going. And I make mistakes every day, so stand in line and take a number, right? Country or person. I just think that his embrace of Iran, his embrace of the Muslim Brotherhood, his embrace of a sort of an anti-colonial worldview is what really has led us here. But really, what I would tell you to do, are any of you familiar with the book Rules for Radicals?
Solowinsky,
yes.
Yeah.
Right. So happen to have one right here, right? Go to Tactics, page 125, and just read 3 pages. So to your listeners, you'll read this book in a day, and I defy anybody to go through that book and say, damn, that's exactly what they're doing. And it starts with demagogue, demonize, and divide. Isolate your enemy, ridicule your enemy, demonize them, divide the country from each other, pit everybody against each other, right? Demagogue, and demonize, and then divide them. And it's much easier to stay in power when we're all fighting each other. Why do you think Trump scares them so much?
Yeah,
Trump scares them because it's a populist. Yeah, exactly right. It's a populist uprising, right? Look, Donald Trump is not a perfect candidate either. I grew up in New Jersey. I don't mind sort of his idiosyncrasies, but I know 1,000 guys who sound like Trump. I grew up with them, right? Okay, there's some braggadocio and D's, Dems, and Does, and ain't got no good English. Okay, that's fine. But I judge a president based on what they do, No president is perfect. Don't tell me, though, if you like your health care, you can keep it. Lie. Well, there's nothing wrong with wealth, but we just need to spread it around a little bit. Lie. Just keep
and now
going.
we hear
So,
from Tim Walz that one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Neighborliness. How nice. Yeah. So here's a question to all of you guys. Name one country where socialism has made the lot of the average person better.
I don't think this is the channel that's gonna.
It's not the channel
be able to answer that. Yeah.
I mean, the modern day liberal would tell you either Norway or Denmark, right? Because that's always the gold standard for,
and then those countries will pipe up and be like, actually, we're capitalists. Don't call us socialists.
Right. And we're small.
Right. Yeah. And we're a homogenous population. Yeah.
Right. I will say that Tim Walz, if you look at his record, makes Kamala Harris look almost conservative, right? Okay. So you pass over the moderate Jewish governor because you don't want to alienate the pro-Hamas, crowds and lobbies in the states that you think you need to win in the Rust Belt, and you pick someone who is arguably more left than Kamala Harris. Go figure that out.
He's so left, he's right, maybe.
That's almost the same question as with Obama. It's like, where do these people come from? Because I don't feel like I'm living next to a dyed-in-the-wool communist, or that there's. But they keep popping up on the national stage where it's like you have AOC has like a sketchy background where she may be, connected to sort of intelligence community. And then you have Obama, very sketchy background. We have Stacey Abrams here in Georgia, who is like a leftist activist and then all of a sudden propelled into power. I don't know. I guess same question as last time almost is like, who's behind this? Are these just the most lucky people on earth that find power when they really want it?
They either grew up together or their parents grew up together or they went to school together, it's some kind of, fraternity relation or something like that.
They get into feeding systems for community organizations. So I was going to mention Weather Underground would be another thing to look up for Obama. So
SDS, Weather Underground. Bill Ayers, yep. Exactly.
Yep. So you look into the community organizers. If you remember during Obama's campaign, Acorn was huge, and that's kind of disappeared from the radar at this point. But if you look back at Acorn and community organizing, it all stems from those places. Kids. Yep. So you got them young, you build them up, you highlight the ones that can be politicians, good public speakers, all that, and you just keep pushing them through the system.
So I'll tell you where they learned. it. It was in 2004. In 2004, and I was involved in that campaign. That was the year that I ran the Jewish outreach for President's reelect, right? And there was a red wave in the entire country. Took both houses of Congress. That's when Karl Rove basically said, we're going to have a generation now of conservatism. And President Bush at that point said, we're going to take the majority out for a spin and see what I can do with it. That lasted 2 years. But the one blip on the radar was in Colorado, which was historically rock red. And what they ended up doing in Colorado is they figured out a strategy. We're not going to go for the top offices. We're going to go for the statewide offices and the assembly and the Senate. Why? Because A, those races are smaller, 2,000, 5,000 people per district. We can almost vote count. B, once you win those, they become your future leaders. It's much easier to do. And they ran a really good, smart campaign. And they understood that once you're in control of government, you wield the purse and you control the mechanisms of election. So they used that model in 2004, and that's how Obama got elected. Because then they rolled it out into the other states that in subsequent years. So if you go back and you look at what they did in 2004, that was the template, and we still haven't figured it out.
Yeah. So how do we swing the pendulum back?
Guns and gold, baby. Guns and gold.
Yeah. There we go. And Bitcoin, we might add.
I'm too old. I still think that's vaporware, but what the hell do I know? I believe in my heart of hearts that most of America, the majority of America, are not with the progressive left, or let's call them wokeism. And wokeism, by the way, is really nothing more than an old religion made new, with the zealotry of a new religion. It even has the garb, right? The mask, right? It has the religious garb of a religion. It has the intolerance of an old religion or a new religion, right? But I believe the majority of Americans don't want to be divided. I reject a divided America. That's part of American exceptionalism. I think that the problem is that most people have been two things. They've been cowed into silence based on fear of being canceled or other things. And they think they're alone because they think they're red dots in blue ponds. So and that's what they want to say. Remember what happened with COVID? They told you couldn't go out of the house. That you couldn't go to your place of worship. You couldn't go even to your stores, except if you were one of the chosen stores that was allowed to be open. You had to rely on the internet, close the schools. You had to rely on the internet for information. And then lo and behold, it turns out they were controlling what you saw on the internet. So where's my tinfoil hat when I need one? Let me just sort of put on my tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You're so right that it's like a religion. I mean, they have their saints like Anthony Fauci and Obama or whoever else.
Right.
The original sin is racism, but I think they also have no redemption. So that's their flaws. You can never be redeemed. Like, you're always going to be racist. You're evil. Maybe you can become a, beauty hating social justice warrior and sort of redeem yourself, but not really.
No, look. And if you're systemically racist, if you're not racist. And by the way, that's the other thing they do. They're changing definitions look, let me put it this way. If you want to radically transform a country, how do you do it? The first thing is, because, by the way, we're not even a democracy, right? We are a constitutional republic. Before we're a constitutional republic, we're a nation of laws. So if you want to radically transform society, get rid of the history, right? Topple statues like we saw, rewrite history. So now, America wasn't a good nation. It's a bad nation, right? Then what you do is you go after the laws, because the laws are the last line of defense. And if you want to rewrite the laws, A, you stop enforcing them. And then B, you go after the people who enforce the laws, law enforcement, and you try to get rid of law enforcement or lessen law enforcement. And then when you're done with man's laws, you go after God's laws, and you convince people there's more than two genders. And, and I'm a minotaur, by the way. That's what I self-identify as. So
on my college transcripts, I'm an attack helicopter.
Oh, better.
Nice.
Yeah, because they left it just wide open. There was a spot that said other, and I typed attack helicopter. And then I was actually talking to my advisor. I mean, this was just 5 years ago. I was going online college, and I found out there's 38,000 of us nationwide.
Nice.
I love that.
I think that goes back to what you were saying. It goes back to what you were saying a little bit with the class warfare and the race warfare and everything else. You actually can't have the arguments if you can't even agree on the words you're using within the arguments themselves. So it's another layer on top of this.
And I know you have a hard out in about a minute. So if you want to go ahead and take that and then just wrap up with letting us know where we can find you and what you're up to. And then I know you got to go.
I do have to go, but we're going to I wanted to talk about Israel Appreciation Day. And the reason I did that, folks, go to IsraelAppreciationDay.com. It's September 18th. And the reason we're doing that is it's not even just about Israel. It's about Western values, right? What's really going on here is that Israel is at war and they're fighting our war. So we're looking to bring together in this country, both Jewish and non-Jewish world, in a nonpartisan, grassroots, interfaith way to celebrate all the things through education and other things that makes Israel special, right? Whether it's human rights, whether it's freedom of religion, freedom of the press, rule of law, capitalism, democracy, all the medical and technological advances that this little country has done, right? But the real question here is, because, let me share it to people this way. I was at a conference some months ago, and someone said, why do they hate the Jews? And I said, they don't just hate the Jews. I said, if they drive the Jews into the sea, because that's what it means, from the river to the sea means you drive them from the Jordan River into the Red Sea. So the Jews are the tip of the spear. I asked the gentleman, I said, are you Christian? He said, yeah. I said, you're next. Because as they say in Islam, after Saturday comes Sunday, right? So it's an attack on Judeo-Christian values. And that's really, the enemy is here, right? Death to America, inside America. Israel's being attacked from the outside. We're being attacked from the inside, and we're heading towards France and England, right? So that's why Israel Appreciation Day is about so much more than that, where we're bringing together politicians and celebrities and media personalities and scholars and it's going to be a fast-paced entertainment because you have to educate as well. We have social media influencers coming on as well, because this is about so much more than Israel, but it starts there. So I appreciate Zach, you letting me, put that out there. They can get me on Twitter at RB Chernin. You can find me, Of the People with Robert Chernin, on all the channels, and you can download our own podcasts. We're pretty much everywhere.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool event.
Yeah. So IsraelAppreciationDay.com, September 18th. By the way, they canceled our venue in DC, so we're now doing it 100% virtual in this cool studio that can hold 500,000 people and reach around the world. It's going to be bigger and better. We're not telling anybody where it is for obvious reasons, but IsraelAppreciationDay.com. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Thanks for being
Thanks
here,
so
man.
much. It's good talking to you. All right. Cool. All right. Cool. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a cool little framework.
So anyway, I feel like I really rushed the introduction. So again, we got Alden, Steven, and Sean Kennedy, and I'm Zach Varnell. I panic every time that intro music comes on. I'm just like, I forget what I'm doing.
Oh, dude,
It's the countdown for me.
I never want to host anything.
Once it gets below 5 seconds, my palms get a little sweaty.
Oh,
sorry about the feedback. That was my oversight on that one.
Oh, it's all good.
No problem. I wouldn't have done any better. So,
Steven, do you like Hetty Topper? You ever had it? The IPA, Hetty Topper.
Never had it. Who makes it?
Never had it? Vermont? Anyway, that's what I'm drinking today is some Hetty Topper. I didn't know if you were a fan, but I'll bet you would be if you had it. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever had beer from Vermont. I think that's one of the few states I haven't drank from.
Yeah, I just picked some up. A buddy of mine has a family up there, and he gave me some. And I haven't had it in years, but it's damn good.
Nice. Okay, I'll check it out.
when I was in Vermont, I went to Fiddlehead Fern Brewery, and I remember it being good, and made me want to try Fiddlehead Fern. I've never had it.
Fiddlehead, yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Rabbit Eye Wine for just a second. Share this tab instead.
Almost plugged him while Robert was on.
Yeah. We should have. That way, you know, if he clips this or whatever, it ends up in his show too. But
right. It's mentioned.
Yeah.
Or maybe not by name. I don't know. That.
Will's going to give us, you know, an earful for this. Like, how could you not get us on the Israel Appreciation Day, guys, podcast? I'm sure he'll be very upset. But anyway, Rabbit Eye Wine. I think Jake's been saying the most blueberry wine in all of Georgia. I'm willing to go with the entire world. I don't know. It's great. I like it. I know I'm really selling it right now. I'd be more entertaining if I had some blueberry wine, but
I think there's only, you know, one of the flavors I haven't had yet, and I've not been disappointed with any of them.
Yeah, I like it.
They're great year round. You know, whether it's a hot summer day and you drink it chilled, or it's, you know, cold in the middle of wintertime and it's snowing and you drink it room temp. It's delicious any time of year, any way you can have it.
I bet it would make good like mulled wine too during the winter. Put some lemons and stuff in there.
My girlfriend wants to make like a sangria in the summer with it, and then like mulled in the winter. Yeah.
And they do wine slushies on Bell Farms. So if you're near wherever in Georgia Bristol. They are. Yeah. So South Georgia. Say it again, Steven.
Bristol.
Yeah, Bristol, Georgia. You can go get, I think, even like a significant amount of wine slushy. It's not just personal use, but they're selling it to distribute, you know, like
did
they're going to catch the
do any damage? Do we have a hurricane update from the farm?
You know, I haven't heard from Will. Buddy was showing me a lot of flooding, but it didn't look like anything that was going to, you know, require FEMA or
well, I know
the
we
Cajun Navy or anything.
We had some crews trying to get to Bryan County, which is like an hour from their farm, and DOT turned them around because the highway was flooded for miles. And by flooded, I mean like 104 feet of water. Yeah,
that's what Buddy was saying, is that
this was Monday.
The highways were bad. It was creeping into the neighborhoods a little bit, but I think they're all right. Okay. At least our people.
Good.
All right, so let's get into our first story here. So during a White House press briefing here, a Washington Post journalist asked the White House if they can stop Trump's interview with Elon Musk on X. So let's check this out.
Slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that. Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about.
All right, I'll stop it there because she just says nonsense.
I don't want to.
That was the entertaining
comes
part.
back to Alden. What is it? The Smoot-Hawley Act. In the wake of its abolition, they have no role in it. As a matter of fact,
the Smith-Mundt Act. Yeah.
Smith-Mundt. Sorry. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Every
You also
time-
nailed the year when you were like 1984, whatever. I looked it up. I'm like, I bet he's 100 years off. No, you nailed it.
Is it 1948?
Yeah.
The
No,
original?
Well, now I don't remember.
I said. 48.
Yeah, 1948. You got
It's
it.
48.
Yeah.
Also,
I remember
who's-
some weird things.
Whose misinformation is Trump talking about? Is it his own campaign's misinformation, or
Yes.
what they're afraid Kamala Harris is going to say? Like we just can't let
by
the
default,
front runner
when Trump opens his mouth, it's misinformation to these
Right.
people. Yeah, that's what's happening.
I mean,
the EU actually sent Elon Musk some threatening letters. I think they tried to fine him or something like that because they actually have. I know the UK specifically, they have some strict laws on like political propaganda. That if anything's proven false, Al Gore's documentary had to get pulled from the shelves of schools over there because they found it to be total. Yeah, it was malarkey, and they.
Well, yeah, because it came out 4 years ago, and it said in 4 years we'd be underwater up to our eyeballs or whatever. So
and that unraveled the whole thing. So they could not. What is it? The inconvenient truth.
yeah.
They couldn't show that in schools in the UK because they have strict laws on politicians lying to you, like. At least other politicians, their politicians can lie to them all day.
after the thing with Elon Musk, they've come out to say that they will go after anybody who's doing it.
Yeah.
Anybody at all. So good luck. Good luck. Like, it's been a couple hundred years since we did this with you guys. You guys want to try again, by all means. There's plenty of backwoods boys that are just itching to do that. So good luck.
What was the Elon Musk thing you're talking about?
So the EU tried to have him censor Trump. They tried to have him put an edited version of the interview available for streaming in the EU.
Okay.
They also want all the riot footage off of X. They want anybody posting anything that they deem that could cause a riot or cause a social.
How do we
unrest.
not see, how do we not extrapolate this out where, when you start having requests to block information, how do we not see the problem in this, inherently, principally, where it's now everyone just wants their opponent to not be able to say whatever, and pretty soon we have just this filtered truth.
I think it's the fundamental thing with the freedom of speech, right? It protects speech that you don't like. And they don't have that there. We have that here. And the people who don't like what they don't want to hear and they lose their minds over it, they also are against the First Amendment as well. I mean, they're trying to do it in this country too. Walz has come out talking about censorship and things like that himself. So there's Kamala Harris has everybody on the left seems to be perfectly fine as long as they can censor dissenting opinions.
Yeah.
Which is, we were going to talk about this in the second part of the show, but I'll go ahead and just bring it up since this is what we're talking about. But this is the type of stuff the UK is putting out. Think before you post. It can be illegal and harmful. And they're coming after people. And we'll get into it more. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is after 30 years of just hard in your face in the schools of look at your history. Look at slavery. Look at how awful it is, and shaming people. And now they're can't say that. Can't look at that. No, that street corner is not on fire. You can't stream that on video. What?
I mean,
well, they're highlighting things like the majority of these people are asylum seekers. Except to seek asylum means you go to the next country that is not under in a current war or something like that that's going on. So to get to Britain, you have to go through 13 other countries that are not at war to land on the shores of that country. So you're not an asylum seeker. You are seeking benefits in Britain.
Yeah.
And they're calling it out, and those people are getting arrested. They've arrested well over 1,000 people for posting on social media, just opinions they don't like. Oh, this guy, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Tommy Robinson's all over it. Tommy Robinson.
I'm going to get me one of these hats.
Yeah, which we'll get into that because I think a lot of this about them wanting to arrest people out of country, what they mean is Tommy Robinson. We were taking it personally and be oh, come try it, Redcoat. But they're really, I think, talking about Tommy Robinson because he's in Cyprus.
Yeah.
So, but real quick, this guy is getting a 20-month sentence from a dude dressed like, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Some
I was
LARPing
trying to
character.
figure out
Went
what
on
that
to
is.
say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. Went on to say that you didn't.
20 months in prison
Feels
because
like a
he
Monty
didn't
Python.
like immigrants down the street raping kids.
And if he
What?
would have done not guilty, they would have thrown 5 years at him, is what they said.
Wow.
They got the guy 2 years for stickers, right? He was making stickers to support people speaking out on this, and he's in jail for 2 years. They're locking up a lot of. I mean, it's up there. Outside of people rioting and doing violent things, like these are just speaking out. It's disgusting.
How much time did Count Dankula get? Like he did some hard time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much, but yeah,
for his Hitler gas the Jews pug.
Yeah. For having his dog stick his hand in the air. It's like, well, you got to go to prison for that.
Australia and Great Britain are some of the places I look to see like where like the leading edge of the knife, like of like where our country might go next. You know what I mean? Like
meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is letting women listen to rock and roll and go to college. That might be the place to go in 20 years.
I mean, yeah, they can drive cars now. Like, woohoo! Yeah.
It's a glimpse into our future of like where we might go, but like where do they go from here? Because like, is it just full Soviet Union after this?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's honestly the goal. I mean, if you want to get into like the Huxley brothers and their publications, or George Orwell's concept of the panopticon, whatever kind of dystopian. It's not a conspiracy anymore. There's enough books that have been written about it that these politicians that are in power in these places are on record saying this book was their inspiration to get into politics.
Nice, great, yeah.
Because they're like, hey, I could be the warden at that place. That sounds fantastic.
They were arresting people during COVID lockdowns for like going on solo walks alone.
Oh, that was in Australia. Yeah,
it was both. I've heard of cases.
I bought software from a guy in Melbourne. Many times since then too. There's a company that we use at work that they're based out of Melbourne, and I talked to him. 2020, 2021, 2023, and just again this year, and they still have COVID restrictions in place.
Yeah.
Australia had COVID concentration camps for months.
Yeah,
they were arresting people and sending them away to camps to go hang out in a pod.
Yeah,
and they were using police drones.
2021, when I talked to him, he said he had to get a permit to go jog his neighborhood, and then he had to get another permit to go get groceries, and they both could not happen on the same day.
And they'll tell you this didn't happen, even though it's all recorded.
Yeah, we have
plenty of media about it. It didn't happen. It wasn't that bad. They didn't really overstep any. Maybe occasionally something went awry, but it wasn't that bad. And it's like, no, like you guys were arresting people coming into your country and putting them in pods in concentration camps for 14 days to make sure that they didn't test positive for an infection.
Our country, I thought was bad, but like in Australia and some other parts of the world, it was like a fucking Philip K. Dick novel going on or something. It was insane.
Well, we have it ready. Oddly enough, I remember, here in Georgia, I remember Governor Kemp, and what an ironic name for this place at such a time too. Hard Labor Creek State Park. GEMA, the Georgia Emergency Management, they had pods for COVID patients. GEMA was setting stuff up at all kind of places. Any kind of government property, they'd have trailers. Now, thank God GEMA was actually providing legitimate medical care. But I remember Brian Kemp doing a press conference talking about if we have to force quarantine people, we will, because we have the necessary space for it.
Well, they've been developing this with Department of Homeland Security and FEMA for like 20 years now. If you look up the FEMA camps that they've developed around the country, if you have a FEMA camp, which is meant for people that are infected or people that are injured in some natural disaster or something, and you need to put them somewhere, these places have barbed wire fences on them that keep the people inside the camp, not keep people from entering the camp.
Exactly.
I mean, like these exist all around the country, and people were waiting for them to be implemented, and they weren't. Thank God they weren't, because if they started using them, that would have gone really sideways. I think. I think we would have passed that moment had that happen. But they exist. They exist all over the country.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Ready.gov is a neat website too. There's some things they might have revamped it, but I remember I went there a couple of years ago, and you go there for like virus spreading or like natural emergencies, and there's instructions specifically on how to behave while you're in a FEMA camp. And it's nothing like getting the rundown from your counselor at Rock Eagle when you're 8 years old. You know, it was totally different. It was, I was like, wait a second, what? So it's, yeah, there's things in place. And, you know, Robert kind of hit on some things that, you know, they're attacking the law, you know, they'll attack man's law, then they attack God's law. And it's kind of a multi-pronged attack. But once there's no system of justice in place, then the cops won't really have a mission. I mean, we're still in a day and age where most of them are good-hearted in what they're doing, traffic cops aside. But you know, once that erodes, I mean, you're gonna get the guys in there that really are in that position just to exert control over people. And
in California, they're trying to give legal or policing powers to illegal immigrants.
Yeah,
they're just completely skipping the step of becoming a citizen. Yeah, and they're going to give
Chinese
them
consulates.
a badge. Can you imagine getting arrested by some consulate or whatever from Mexico or anywhere south of the border, or Haiti or Somalia? Who knows? But
Freaking
they're going to arrest
I
you
wouldn't put up with it.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy.
But in Commie, California, that flies. They're fine with
I'm
that.
not surprised.
Chinese consulates all over the country are policing the towns they're in for their citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're policing the Chinese centers in the cities themselves with Chinese. If you're a Chinese citizen, they will arrest you. The CCP will arrest you in America.
Yeah, I was going to bring up before that this is even on a whole other level, but just the general concept of kind of like the weeding out and the groupthink, and Robert had brought up before, like changing terms and trying to get rid of law enforcement and things like that. But there's, instead of even just getting rid of law enforcement, there's a whole other angle of attack here where like you force a lot of people in hospitals and police and different things to leave because they didn't want to get the shot or whatever. And so then you have a groupthink thing where now you concentrate more people in these different fields that enforce laws and give health
obedient
practice.
People.
Yes, exactly. And that all believe one damn thing and are ready on and more set for the next, event or whatever. So I think that like Sean, you were talking about these different like camps and things at the ready, and you're like, thank God they didn't use them. I don't know if the plan was ever to use them this time. I'm concerned about the next time, and I think that this last wave we saw was kind of like testing the waters and seeing how people do and like doing these different things to kind of like get people to really build some strong, like almost like a weird false camaraderie or like cognitive dissonance that they would like lock their identities in and then be like ready to do the further next step next time.
Well,
I think it worked.
With what you're saying, they actually, during Biden's, I think, first year or going into his second year, I'm pretty sure it was his first year, though, they eliminated a whole host of upper ranks in the military. People resigned left and right, and they removed people from positions that were disagreeing with them. And these are people that are holdovers from, last decade or two. They dealt with Obama. They made it through that. They're up in their positions now, and they were removed again. A lot of people that stood up for COVID. They were removing people for COVID that were fighting against the COVID vaccines. I mean, if they had to bring a bunch of these military people back in, but now you know who they all are. They're not going to follow. They're not going to follow literally every order. They have a semblance of something in them that says, "I'm not doing that." There's a limit for me.
like a political game of Othello. If y'all remember that old game, where you can surround the checkers and flip the colors.
Yep.
I was gonna bring up War Games, the old movie, where like at the beginning the guy didn't want to push the button, and there was the whole concept of like a computer would do it unasked, but a human at the helm, like ready to push the button to like end the world kind of button, and they have their doubts, but like AI wouldn't. And then we're getting more into AI run things too. So you've got groupthink going on with people, and then you've got introducing AI that it's like Skynet level bullshit going on as well. It's not a good combination.
No, they have I don't remember the study off the top of my head, but there was a study done on how distant people are before they'll consider like basically killing somebody or torturing them. And the further away someone is, if they're in the room with you, people won't do it. If they're in the next room over, if they can see them, they won't do it.
The shock thing? Is this the shock study?
I'm not sure if it was. I don't think it was the shock one. I think I know which one you're talking about. I'd have to look it up for a second. Yeah, I know what that one is. I don't.
The other room.
Yeah, that was the other room, and they told them to turn the shock up.
And like 66% of people went to like beyond the level of death. With the voltage level, like.
Yeah, I don't think they were meaning to kill people. They just did what they were told.
That's the whole.
Resulted in killing people.
It was more a study on the authority figure in the room, the lab code just telling you must continue or whatever. They only said like 2 or 3 different things, like it requires you to continue this. The experiment requires that you comply or whatever. Anyway.
The NPCs are trained. They're trained.
The Milgram experiment.
Milgram, thank you. Yes,
that's right.
Look it up.
So I mean, and to go back to the camps, I mean that's part of the plan. If you go back to the Sabol rules for radicals, Obama definitely leveraged that tactic, and this could be something he's put in place. And of course, him being a constitutional scholar, he knows how to create legal conundrums with certain actions with his community organizing. And Rex 84 would be one of them, which would be the emergency declaration. They tried to go Trump into declaring that in 2020. With all the riots all over the country, and then the breakaway nation of Chaz, within Seattle, all of those things. Trump could have easily just been like, nuke him, I'm done with it, wipe him off the map. But he didn't do it because he knows as soon as you invoke that declaration there's no going back from that. And if they've created enough of a vacuum in a large enough zone, now all of a sudden it could be an international emergency. Because once you declare a national emergency, all the UN can just convene and go, we're sending in the blue hats. We're taking over now.
Even the very little bit that he did do when he sent in U.S. Marshals and did throw a few people in vans that were like committing crimes on the internet, and you could see them and track them and the whole thing. And they sent in people very specifically to take someone out of an area and arrest them. The media jumped on that. Even they were like, he's grabbing black people and putting them in vans and driving them out. And it's like, look, at some point you can't light all the police stations on fire. Like we can't burn all the private businesses to the ground. Someone somewhere is going to have to say no to some of this behavior.
Well, and all of this stuff didn't just happen overnight either. I mean, I've got family, I've got family that was in GBI in the 80s, here in Georgia. It's Tyler Perry Studios now, but back in the 80s, it was Fort McPherson. And the commies used to go there once a month and riot, for whatever the outrage du jour was. They'd show up with their poster boards and picket signs.
Outrage du jour.
Yeah. They'd show up with their poster boards and signs. And then eventually, once the crowd got big enough, they start throwing some rocks. Then someone brings a Molotov cocktail.
Then
and they do whatever they can get away with. And
my first thought was bricks.
yeah. Pile of bricks that ends up always just someone really handily nearby when there's a riot.
And it's crazy because the crowd could get like 50 to 100 people, and all you got to do is find that one bastard that started it, get in the middle of the crowd, shove a stick up in his armpit, walk him over to the side and whip his ass, and all of a sudden it dissolves.
Do you ever see the video?
One thing.
Go ahead, sorry.
It'll never be a thing again if I don't spit it out now. I remember during the Summer of Love, I was going to Home Depot a lot for different projects, garden center. And like that weekend, there were legitimately way more people buying bricks. Like my own eyes, I saw it. I was there the weekend before. I was there, weekends after. Never saw it. This weekend, there were like 2 people loading bricks, tons of them into the back of their car, and there were several people just with buggies buying like 4 bricks. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
A couple.
Was anyone doing like, you're clearly not like doing a landscaping job here. Like you just have like 5 bricks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just really odd.
And 50 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah. And a lot of eggs. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Sorry. Yeah, you go first, Sean. You go.
I just lost my train of thought on that one. No worries.
Yeah, my bad.
I'll talk, and then if you think of it, you jump in.
Sure.
But I was going to say, do you guys know like the critical mass point of like a lot of different things, and like they've studied this with like molecularly or whatever, like that often it's as low as like 1.5% of a, say like a collection of like molecules of one type. And if you vibrate 1.5% of this entire group, that's all it takes to get the rest to match the vibration. And
like starting the wave at a football game.
Yeah. It only takes a few. And I really think that it doesn't take much to get an organic reaction from a large group of people. And it can only, it could be just a group of 2 or 5 people in a crowd that can probably do quite a bit of damage to whip people up and get that organic response.
So if you're paying people to go and be the agitator,
right,
and then you have people like Kamala Harris promoting the fact that they will bail you out, then you don't have a problem being an agitator and throwing a brick. There is a video. It's not as serious as the protest. It's a dancing video, but it's a video at a music festival, and there's one guy. It breaks down how to get people all involved together and doing something in a crowd. And one guy starts dancing, and he's dancing like a weirdo, but he like reels another person in, and then he reels another person in, and before you know it, you get 4 people dancing. Well, now it's not awkward to go and participate. It's actually kind of acceptable because there's a group. You'll get lost in the group. You lose that mindset of I'm an individual acting. I'm now in a group. So it only takes a few people, and before you know it, like this guy who started dancing like a weirdo has like 50, 60 people dancing around him, and they're all acting the same. But no one feels like an outcast. Yes, this is it.
Is that the thing?
This is it. Yep. Nice job. It's hilarious. But you take this concept.
Good job,
now there's 2 weirdos. And everyone's like, I don't know, they're kind of weird. Yeah, now they're actually dancing together. And
hey, I got bricks. You got bricks?
They're like jerking off invisible dicks.
Yeah, did capitalism hurt your family? Yeah, me too. All right.
What was that move?
Oh, all right, so now doing that stuff.
Now let me give you another thought with this, right? Mm-hmm. So knowing this right here, okay, knowing that you get 1, 2, 3, 4. How many agitators do you have to pay in the same crowd to activate each other? 10, maybe that cost you 10 grand, and you caused, I don't know, $250,000 in damage by burning down a neighborhood, and that's all because you paid 10 separate people to act in the same mob. That's it.
Been seeing a ton of things too, stuff that wouldn't even take hardly any money. Social media, like the digital equivalent of this. It's unbelievable how many accounts I'll see a story, and then the craziest, loudest, most obnoxious dissenting opinion here for the story, and they're just the gray like person icon, like the default image for like they don't even have a photo on their account, like they're clearly a fucking bot account. That usually seems like I've been seeing that more and more and more, where it's like either very likely or almost impossible not to be a fake account, and that's whipping people up, and like the conversation that comes after that is just ridiculous. But it starts from something that I think is, like you're saying, like paid or fake or artificially influenced or whatever, but gets an organic response going in people. That it
gets an organic response, but it's artificially manufactured.
Yeah,
for sure.
But
what did they call it during COVID? It was mass formation psychosis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was
a better name to it.
That was it right there. And so it's not just with actions, you know, like this example in this video we're watching is with people dancing at a concert or some kind of public event. But what if it's with an idea, you know, where the way you express the idea is the way you dress or the way you walk or something like that. So all of a sudden everyone's walking 6 feet apart, wearing a mask. You know, all you have to do is get a few people to comply, and then the other folks don't want to be the butthole that stands out.
Or eating bugs and Bill Gates meat or whatever. And
yeah, I hear cockroach milk is going to be the superfood of the next decade.
Not mine.
Right.
Oh,
How do you
right.
milk a cockroach? I have nipples, Greg. Can you?
Yeah, right.
All right, last thing about one of the last things about the UK real quick. So this is the guy who says it doesn't matter where you live, we're going to come after you. So
a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we'll come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the obs who are causing the problems for communities.
With baseball bats, by the way, because they can't carry guns.
Well, I think that actually didn't say what I thought it was going to say, but he basically said, like, even if you're doing it from afar, we'll come after you. Yeah, and to me, I'm thinking he's talking about Tommy Robinson, but people did take that to mean America too. So,
well, I think people took it to mean America because he specifically directed a message, or someone did, to Elon Musk. So how could you not? How could you not kind of infer that if you're going to go at the richest person in the entire world?
But if you're coming to him, the rest of us, he's African American, so that's racial violence.
It is very racist. It's very racist.
Yeah.
He said hatred and violence as if they're the same thing. Some quack. And
conflating.
Like to them, like self-defense, that's violence, or
I hate
boxing is violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you pray on the sidewalk outside an abortion center, they arrest you over there.
Yeah. They arrested
just
or
pray,
they didn't
not interact, not do anything else, just prayer.
They harassed a lady who was praying in her head. It's like she's committing the crime of thinking wrong thoughts in the wrong place.
Yeah. Boy, lady, you got a license for that thought.
Yeah.
Instead of a penny for your thoughts, it's a permit for your thoughts here.
Yeah, that's right.
A license.
All their residents have to pay a mandatory fee to the BBC, right? For like a TV license.
If they own a TV.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
And the thing is, they track them. You don't have to tell them you got a TV. They spy on you enough to know when you buy a TV.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you don't pay them, they'll break into your place of housing or wherever you're living.
Flat.
They'll break in and they'll break in your flat, and they'll take things as collateral because you pay your TV license bill.
They'll take enough peanut butter that's the fee's worth of peanut butter. Yeah.
They'll take all of your tea.
Their tea, yeah. What's really dear to them.
Well, and kitchen knives. I hear you have to like over here, like you got to scan your license for a pack of smokes or something like that. They got to do that to buy a kitchen knife.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm dead serious, man.
Yeah.
Like that's
and you basically have to carry proof that you're a chef if you have one on you. Like if you're carrying your knife to work, you better also have something. You have to cook eggs 100 different ways in front of the cop or something.
I have a knife in my pocket. I'm in my own home, and I have a knife in my pocket every single day, all of the damn time. Right. And I use it. I'm like, every day, I'm like, oh, gotta cut that or whatever. Like, the not being able to have a blade on you is just ridiculous. Having to have a permit for a knife.
Oh, I've seen just enough Tommy Robinson videos over the last few days that Facebook pushed something to me on my phone the other day. It was a set of kitchen knives, but they didn't have a point.
Yeah,
like they were flat at the end, and so like you just had like the knife edge and then like a flat point.
Okay,
you can still slash people, I guess. That's no fun.
Yeah.
So it just has like from the belly down to the hilt. Like there's no tip.
Like there's no point. They just round out.
There's no point at the end of the knife. They just square it off.
Like what you give a kid to cut Play-Doh with.
Yeah.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Oh, and the comments were, there's hundreds of them. They were so positive. It might have been people just talking trash, but yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
I use the tip of my knife, honestly, for a lot of things. I don't understand. Why are we changing? The knife has been a tool for thousands of years, and
it's also impossible to sharpen anything else. Like if you really wanted to stab somebody and you didn't have a knife.
yeah, I can't use this just hunk of sheet metal I found or whatever.
Yeah. Or a
What
bed
are we
spring.
doing? No, let's make the lives of all the people that cook, which is, well, anymore, I don't know, but a lot of people harder. And the people that are gonna go stab someone, there's no way to sharpen any other thing. Like, okay.
Better
You get a
yet, if
bench
someone
grinder,
tries
you
to
can-
stab you, shoot them. But it's
Yeah.
the UK.
Yeah.
But there's a glimmer of hope. So according to Turning Point UK, you said Keir? Yeah, their prime minister is named Keir Starmer. What kind of name is that? But anyway, there's banners now popping up called two-tier Keir, is what the banners say, over the overpass in the
It's a tongue
UK.
twister.
So, and they're saying because it's two-tier justice system where, if you're a Muslim and you're going out and rioting for whatever reason, then you're fine.
It's protected.
And the police are there to protect you.
Right.
But if you're pissed off about that,
They'll sign
you're
your
going to
bricks.
jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, it's almost like here. There's a two-tier justice system. Like you're either the Clintons or you're not.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some trivia. Boom. All right. Oh, I didn't start the music.
Yeah, I refuse
Can't do it without
to
the
play.
music.
There
Actually,
we go.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right. All right. Trivia may or may not be slightly phoned in, but we'll see. Also, one of them's on Southern food because I'm like, everybody will be good at that. Then I remember, Sean lives in Massachusetts, so
There we
he
go.
might be screwed.
Well, there's great Netflix documentaries he has access to.
Yeah.
I'm just not educated enough.
Uncultured swine.
There we go. What was Jake saying? There's a guy that got thrown in jail for 20 months the other day for an anti-immigration Facebook post.
That's the one we were watching. That was that guy in the costume was the one sending him to jail. All right. Let's do this thing. So, Libations trivia. Topics are Southern food, video game history, and musical instruments. I did Zane rules, so it's a little bit switched up. But anyway, everybody here knows. Cover your camera to be called on when you know an answer. So, round one, Southern food. In this traditional Southern dish, it's made with corn, tomatoes, okra, onions, and is often served with stewed vegetables on the side. What is that called? Alden.
Gumbo?
No. Oh, that's very close. I mean, that's all in gumbo too, and I can't argue with you.
Yeah, I was gonna. Okay.
Right, like that's.
I'd say the hint right off the bat is corn is the main ingredient there.
Tomatoes, okra, onion.
Corn.
Darn it.
I'll
go Alden again because.
I mean, grits? Like, I don't know, like, what form of corn you mean. Okay, I don't know.
All right.
It sounds like gumbo to me, but
Steven.
I don't know.
Brunswick stew?
No.
There's no okra in that. But...
Yeah, I screwed up this one. This one's too hard. But I think it does get better. This isn't going to be one of my normal trivias where every question's a train wreck.
Only the first one, yeah.
Southern dish.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it.
Okay.
Succotash.
Oh my God. Suffer and succotash.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think
Southern?
As
thought that was
silly as
northern.
this is, if you had said like a southern side, I feel like that would have jarred my brain enough to like get it. I don't know why, but
The only person
not
I've ever
northern.
known talk about it is my mom, and she's very Southern, so...
yeah.
I got a great black bean succotash recipe from Publix one day. So
There you go.
it might be on the
Wait,
website.
Zach, go back one. Let me read the ingredients of this. Okay, so all the succotash I've ever had like lima beans in it.
Right, like I've never had okra and succotash either.
Yeah, I never did either, honestly. Maybe I'm not having the right succotash because I don't even like lima beans, so I'd rather have this. So.
Must be a South Central thing.
Might be a bad question, but yeah. Anyway, question number 2. The chemical reaction between cocoa powder and buttermilk historically caused this cake to turn the color after which it is named. Nowadays, it is dyed. What cake is it, Alden?
Red velvet?
Yep. Red velvet cake.
Got it.
So it used to be a natural red from cocoa powder and buttermilk, or some sort of vinegar even.
I was going to say any acid will do it, yeah.
Yeah. And some quack got it just after you. All right, question 3. And so far, with 1 point on the board, I am doing well at keeping score.
Okay.
We'll see how that holds up.
one of 2, actually. So.
Yeah. All right, question 3. This edible weed must be carefully and correctly boiled to remove harmful toxins before it can be safely consumed. What is the name of this plant? And this one's not too crazy because I have some in my freezer right now. It's not rhubarb. Although I think rhubarb might have similar qualities.
Huh.
Steven.
It's not fennel, is it?
No.
No, that's not a weed.
Darn it.
Boiled to remove harmful toxins.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Jake got it. Pokeweed.
Oh, okay.
So it's called
poke salad.
Yeah, or pokeweed.
I always thought it was called poke salad.
I've seen it every way.
Yeah.
It's poke salad, it's poke salad, and pokeweed, I guess, is just the name of the plant.
Okay, I've never.
But yeah, you have to boil it. Well, they say boil it twice or 3 times, but really it's just you have to boil it in a lot of water because the toxins are water soluble.
See, I was gonna say acorns, but that's not a weed or whatever. But you got to boil that a bunch to eat that.
Yeah, I love hitting that stuff with a machete.
What,
the pokeweed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time harvest all the small weeds and boil them and wash them in your sink, and then you have basically what's the other turnip greens, I guess is kind of analogous. So yeah.
I like collards.
It's about the same, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't.
People
but they're
like
not
to
toxic, so if you undercook them, you're not going to get sick. I don't know.
But you also don't just go out and find them in your yard.
That's true. Well, not yet. Not yet.
All right. Question 4. According to some, Brunswick stew was in.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just saying Steven just named it, but so he might know this. But
yeah. According to some, Brunswick stew was invented in Virginia, not Georgia, and originally contained what meat, Steven?
Pork.
Nope. Not according to the Virginians. Alden.
Venison? Deer?
Nope.
No. Oh.
You got anything,
Does Sean have something? Yeah, I was just going to say, before we just plow through.
What do you say already? Pork and venison?
And then some quack guesses rabbit, and that's not right.
Oh, that was my next guess. All right, so that's not it either.
Beef.
No, not beef.
No.
All right, since everyone's guessed, I'll give the hint that it was hunters who invented it, and it's not duck. Alden?
Quail?
Not quail.
Damn.
Sean?
Bear?
Not bear.
That'd be interesting.
Steven?
Turkey.
Not turkey.
I feel like it's going to be some weird shit. Wait a minute. I got one more.
Alden?
Raccoon.
No. Well, so you're getting close, though.
Oh, dang it.
Not elk.
Elk is, yeah.
You're going to feel so silly when you hear it. Steven?
Squirrel.
Yes, it is squirrel.
Dang it. That was when he said raccoon was close, I was like, I'll bet it's squirrel. Damn it. I went too weird. All right.
Yeah. So Virginians claim they invented it in Brunswick County, Virginia.
Okay.
I guess these hunters in the 1800s just threw everything they had into a pot, let it simmer, and came back, and it was actually pretty good. And they say it had squirrel. But then also Brunswick... Go ahead.
I mean, it's no cockroach.
Squirrel is good if you grill it right.
Okay. But then St. Simon's Island claims to be the first place that Brunswick stew was made. And they even have like a pot out
But
there.
then wouldn't it be
like
called St. Simon's Stew or something, you know? I don't know.
Maybe they were from the mainland. I don't know.
All right.
That's Brunswick, Georgia for the Yankee on the call.
Right.
There you go. Which, by the way, if you're ever in Brunswick, Georgia, and someone pulls up next to you at a random gas station and they've got a smoker they're pulling behind the truck, that's some of the best barbecue you're ever going to have in your life. You need one of those sandwiches. Just trust me.
Is this the style sandwich where they have like a piece of just like Wonder Bread and then they put like a whole rack of ribs or some shit like on like one slice of white bread? Like, why did this become the Southern tradition of serving barbecue on one useless? It's like it's a napkin at this point, basically.
Yeah, a dude's dressed like he went to the bargain bin at Goodwill.
Yeah.
Yep.
I trust this man though. Yeah.
That's
He's
exactly
probably in the
right.
parking lot of Goodwill selling it.
Right. His family's been making that barbecue for 150 years, son. It's amazing.
A pitmaster,
Yeah.
All right, question 5. Legend says this snack was invented after a Kentucky coal miner requested a snack made from graham crackers and marshmallows that was as big as the moon. Alden.
A moon pie.
Yes, moon pie. And
Moon
you are
pies
now
very big
Chattanooga.
around here. Yeah. Yep. I was gonna say moon pies are everywhere here.
Yeah. Oh, the Texas thing. Yeah, Jake says the white bread is a Texas thing, which I do see. I don't see it here very often. I think we have better standards in our bread.
Go to the coast, coastal Georgia. You'll see
true.
the big old fat piece of white bread too.
Hey, I thought that Texas would have Texas toast, like the white bread but thicker, you know, because everything's bigger in Texas. So.
All right, question 6. A moon pie served with what drink is known as the working man's lunch due to their affordability? Steven.
RC Cola, baby.
Yep. RC
Damn it.
Cola and a moon pie.
There you go. Louis Grizzard, the old comedian. I've got the cassette tape, actually. RC and a moon pie was his big stand-up bit.
The other thing that's like big in the South, like with that, is any kind of cola, really, Coke or whatever, but like specifically with salted peanuts, like in the bottle. I don't know.
That's just
they used to do
what
that
the
at
poors do, no matter where you are.
And they did that at the old a church I went to as a kid. On Father's Day, they gave moon pies, RC Cola, and peanuts, and you were supposed to put the peanuts in the RC Cola. Which
I didn't know.
But
I didn't know if the peanuts were supposed to be part of this guess or not, but but RC Cola for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Question 7. During the Great Depression, this inexpensive dish became a staple for many families due to its affordable ingredients and the ability to feed a large number of people. It consists of pork parts cooked with cornmeal and is traditionally served with greens. Steven.
I've always called it stricoline, but I don't know.
Let me see what that is. I don't even know how to spell that. Southern stricoline.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be nearly the same thing, but it's not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I'm gonna name just another random thing just in case, you know. I'm gonna say collards, but I've never had it with cornmeal in the collards, so that's probably not right.
Well, it consists of pork. Well, I see what you mean. You would cook maybe pork in your collards, but no, that's not it.
Yeah, ham hock, like smoked ham bone, like
cooked with cornmeal.
So this is primarily a meat dish that is cooked with leftover pork parts. And it's also not just a Southern thing. It might just be a poor people thing.
A lot of usually happens. Southern food. It is poor food. I have no idea.
All right. Any last guesses?
Johnny got
all right. You'll have heard of it. Hogshead cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Nope.
Yeah.
And
a big nope from Sean.
well, apparently the hog's foot would be what contains the gelatin needed to hold it together too. So that's very appetizing to think about.
I don't know. I eat head.
Pickled pig's feet.
I would eat
Yeah.
it. I've never had pig's feet. I have
I've had
had just all sorts of
pig ear.
questionable meats, but
I just found a store near me that sells pig ear, and I love like pig ear confit. I haven't had it in like years now, but so
My
I
dogs
actually
like
got excited.
big ears.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on par with them.
the same way.
How are you guys eating down there? Jesus Christ, you guys got food.
Alden just lays on the ground and gnaws on it just like a dog.
Yeah.
All right, I think this is the last one for the Southern food. We'll put Kennedy out of his misery here.
Man.
But all right, name Georgia's state prepared food. Which, yeah, that one's unfair. I get it. Alden.
Peach cobbler. I don't know.
No.
Damn it. I don't even know. I didn't know there was a state prepared food. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Seems like there's another one besides peaches.
Actually, I think peaches is one of the state foods, but it's like the state fruit or something.
State fruit, yeah.
Right.
Steven.
Pecan pie.
No.
Your guess then.
The other one is Vidalia onions. It has nothing to do with this answer, so don't take that
what's
as a
grown
hint.
here, though, right? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the other. It's like, but this one is like, the first two are natural, peaches and onions,
Right. This
and
is.
then this one's like
spam.
a prepared food. It's not exactly unnatural either. Oh, there we go. Chick-fil-A. I wish that.
Yeah, hoorah! Yeah.
Is that right? Is that the answer?
No, that would be great.
Oh,
We should get a bill before Congress immediately, though. So
I legit just went with it. I thought that was a real thing.
it's not mac and cheese. All right. If the audience isn't getting it, I think this one's too hard too.
Is
It's
it?
grits.
Oh, I said that.
Yeah.
Can I call back my answer from another guess? Damn
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Every other state, it's malto meal, right?
Yeah, it's one of our prepared
If
or
you go
state
too far
foods is
north, it's
grits.
this quick. Yeah.
All right, maybe this one will be a little better. Round 2, video game history.
Oh,
6
okay.
questions, 2 points each. I'm also not sure. I now don't know if I'm keeping score or not. But we'll see.
I don't
I
care.
think
We
we're
all get
good.
Participation trophies. That's fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just asked 8 questions, and you probably got 3 points on the board.
Yeah. Winner at the end takes a shot.
I have 5 points on the board. I don't know.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, there was a few of them that, yeah.
All right, question number 1. Which video game released in 1972 is considered the first commercially successful video game and kickstarted the video game industry? Sean.
On.
Yep, it is Pong.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
The
right.
simplest game ever made. That makes sense.
All right. Question 2. This 1980 arcade game is often credited with popularizing the use of power-ups in video games. What game introduced this concept? Alden.
Pac-Man.
Yep. Pac-Man.
Eat them damn ghosts.
And then Jake is late getting Pong, but he got it too.
I like to think that he was guessing Pong for this question, just to make
Yeah,
it
that's
look
true.
dumb. Yeah.
A Pong power-up. That would be cool.
Yeah, that's
Well, I guess
Brick
you-
Breaker.
Like your yeah. Oh, dude, Brick Breaker's so fun. I love
Yeah,
that
see,
game.
and that's basically Pong with power-ups, you know.
Yeah.
Solo Pong.
Now today we have
All
Candy
right.
Crush and Snood.
Oh, I love Snood too, though. That one's actually from the 90s.
Right.
Snood? What is that? I don't even
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah, me and my sister loved that game so much. It was so fun. It's basically Candy Crush, but from the 90s.
Okay. All right. So better Candy Crush. All right.
Yeah. All right. This RPG, released by Square in '87, was intended to be the company's last game, but due to financial issues, but ended up saving the company. What's the name of it, Steven?
Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Dang.
Final
Is it
Fantasy.
87? That's as far back as it goes?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah. I may have the cartridge at the house, honestly.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. What was the first game to feature Mario? Alden.
Oh man.
Super Mario.
Nope. Steven.
Damn
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
Was it really?
It was on Atari. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely
You
done.
you were Mario in Donkey Kong.
Yeah. He was throwing
Dang.
barrels at you.
Yeah.
You had to jump over him.
So Donkey Kong was like the antagonist in
Yeah.
First game? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a play on King Kong.
I'm getting schooled in the video game stuff. Damn.
All right. Question number 5. Which was the first video game you played in space when an astronaut took it aboard the space shuttle Atlantis in 93? Steven.
Tetris.
It is Tetris.
Nice.
Played by astronaut Alexander A. Serberov. And some quack got it too.
Nicely done.
All right. All right. Is that it? Nope. In 93, this title was recognized for creating the template for first-person shooters and multiplayer gaming. What is it, Sean?
GoldenEye.
No, not GoldenEye. Alden.
No, that's
Doom.
after that.
Doom.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there may have been a few. I don't know when GoldenEye came out, but there might have been a few other.
Later, like 90s,
It's later in the 90s,
or 7 or
yeah.
something. Yeah. Not much
Like-
later, like 4 years, but
But like Wolfenstein was before Doom, wasn't it? But it
Yeah, I think so.
it was
Yeah.
before.
Or
it didn't do
right after,
multiplayer or
actually.
anything.
I was gonna say I didn't think it was before, but
I actually might have. I don't know, but
I gotta look that up now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
the
look that up now.
newer
we may
But I
be
like
spreading
both.
misinformation.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein and Doom, like the modern versions, they have some actually killer music in them, and it's weird that those games, the music for those games, actually influenced metal music as a music genre. It was as a side trivia piece here. It was kind of cool,
Yeah.
but
And
Okay.
shout out
Just
to
have
other
a
good
keyboard.
games.
Imagine
Some
just
quack
having-
mentioned Quake.
Quake.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Good game.
And Jake mentioned Duke Nukem, which is also a great game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that might just be Doom reskinned, but it was good.
Yes.
But Doom was first, honestly. But
God,
Everything else
Just imagine
afterwards.
having a keyboard and a theremin, and you make a song
theremin.
like a billion people listen to for half their childhood.
yeah. What a weird
I
instrument.
played Duke Nukem a ton because we had Apple computers growing up, so
And
like
it's one
barely
of the
any
three
games worked.
that would play
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, that Solitaire and what's the mine game or whatever?
Minesweeper?
Minecraft?
Sweeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not Minecraft.
there were actually a lot of fun Apple games, but like nobody has ever played them, so I don't have anybody to talk to. But like, hey, remember Escape Velocity Override or whatever? It's like nobody knows.
I played Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was one of the only games I could find for my Apple computer, like in 2001. But
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I grew up with an
Oregon
Apple IIe.
Trail.
Oregon
Yeah.
Oregon Trail, there you
Oregon
go.
Trail.
Yeah. Or Amazon Trail or whatever it was, the spin-off. That was good too.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of those. I used to play a ton of demo discs because they were free,
That's all I had as
and
a
they would
kid,
advertise
bro.
to you all the games you're never going to be able to
Did
play.
you get one from Pizza Hut as a kid, like for PlayStation
Oh.
1 or something? I played the
I
shit
got
out
them
of it.
anywhere I could. My dad would get them out of the back of magazines for us.
Yep,
and
yeah.
rather than working and buying us real stuff, we just got
Oh,
free, you know.
I might have beat the world record for playing the first level of games just over and over. Anyway,
Yeah.
I hear you.
All
I
right. Last
was so
round.
poor, I didn't even have a memory card for the first year that I had a console. So even owning the whole game was basically like a demo because you couldn't get very
Yeah.
far, you know. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
No, good times. So last round, musical instruments, and these are worth 3 points each. So
Well, we already
basically,
said
anybody
theremin,
can win.
so.
Well, that better not be an answer. Then. All right. First question. What is the name of the electronic musical instrument played without physical contact that is controlled by the movement of the hands in proximity to two metal antennas?
I'm letting
Steven.
Steven just take this.
Theremin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we almost like we just said theremin. It is this is like Mark
Yes.
Twain all over again. Like
Yeah. Uh,
it's only right that Steven gets this one.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that would be like out of left field, but no, it's just
No,
something
no.
we commonly discuss.
He just
so.
pulled it up in the last round. Like
All right. Theremin. There we go. All right. Question number 2. This medieval European instrument resembling a handheld harp is played by cranking a wheel that rubs against the strings.
I know it. I don't know the name of it.
You should really know about cranking and rubbing, Alden.
I know quite a bit. Yeah. Oh my god. Damn it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it almost reminds me of like someone holding an accordion, except
Yes,
they're turning
they're
and they're
doing,
pressing
like,
buttons.
They're like doing a Jack in a Box thing with it or something. Yeah. The first time I saw it was on the Led Zeppelin the No Quarter tour, and they had like a full orchestra of like weird instruments and stuff. And
Did Metallica have it in that Memory Remains song?
I have no idea, honestly.
I've heard that song in this, and some quack got it. It's hurdy-gurdy.
Damn it!
Okay.
Oh my god, there's that old song, The Hurdy-Gurdy Man. That's actually a great song.
Yeah.
The Donovan song. It's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And there's
I'm
a
pissed
good
that I
artist
did that.
now called Patty Gurdy. She plays hurdy-gurdy. She's really good. And you would think she's Irish and like, you know, she has red hair and is
Right.
always dancing in fields. And you look her up, it's like, oh, it's just a German who knows where the paycheck is. So
Yeah, there you go.
all right,
Good call,
hurdy-gurdy.
Damn it. I'm mad at myself.
All right, two more. Number 3. This wind instrument is traditionally made from hollowed out tree limbs and produces a deep resonant sound. What is it, Alden?
The oh my god. I was gonna say now I can't. It's the Aboriginal thing. Oh my god, no. I pass. I can't think of it.
I'm gonna give guest privilege and go to Sean.
Sure.
Didgeridoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, I
Didgeridoo.
had a total brain fart. But I'm glad Sean got it.
All right, last question. This stringed instrument uses a series of bars individually configured to mute all strings other than those needed for the intended chord. What is it called? Steven?
Dulcimer?
No. I think the dulcimer, you do have to hit the strings individually, or at least a hammer dulcimer. I don't know about.
Yeah.
But like this one is more, as far as I'm aware, they're handheld. And it's like they have bars that go across the strings that you would just press like buttons. And I guess you strum or pluck, but Steven?
Harpsichord?
No.
Okay.
That's a piano-like thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some quack says harp. But you can't quite give it to harp because harp you pluck with both hands.
And there's no muting going on.
Steven?
Mandolin?
No, not a mandolin.
No.
Okay. I'm out.
Alden?
I'm throwing this out, but it's not right. But a lute?
No. But I think you're thinking of like lyre, but still not it.
Oh, maybe even, yeah. Is lute though like a reed instrument then? Or?
I think it is.
Then I meant lyre, and I'm still wrong, right? Yeah. That's perfect.
All right. I don't know anything about harp, apparently. I believe some quack. Harp pedals mute certain strings or certain sets of strings. Zither is the type of instrument.
A zitar? Like, is that what the...
I think that's the type of instrument. But
Really?
Anyway, I think I'm just going to reveal it. So, here we go.
If that's
Auto
true.
harp.
Oh.
Give it to the audience. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was closest.
Yeah, they've
But-
said enough things. Some quack has been like all over that one.
Which it doesn't matter because Steven wins. So,
Okay.
yay. Let me find the Steven thing.
Take a shot, Steve.
Nice.
Yeah. Where is Steven? There. All right.
Nicely
We
done.
did it.
Southern food, old video games, musical instruments that you named in the prior round. You dominated.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I remembered we did trivia like last night. I'm like, oh crap. I prepared all the news and put all the crap together, and I forgot about trivia. And I don't want to be like drawn and quartered by the audience. So I put together whatever that was.
That was great. I enjoyed it.
All right.
Of course you enjoyed it. No, it was fun.
All right. Let's get back into our stories real quick.
Yeah, let's stop
Calm
having
down.
fun and go into why the world sucks.
Yeah, stop it. I'm clicking a lot of stuff right now. All right, here we go. So we all saw this news of Kamala, whichever one is not racist, I don't know. She stole Trump's no tax on tips, which was stolen from Thomas Massey, which was stolen from Ron Paul. But, I'm glad it's getting out there. But not only did she start, parading around that she wasn't going to tax tips now, but she cast the deciding vote to tax our tips previously. So let's watch this real quick.
Of course.
Taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
If
Hospitality.
Biden seems intent on taking your earnings hostage. Now, the IRS, they just announced this week that they want to start tracking all of the tips that workers earn so that they can be taxed for it. So much for Biden's sacred promise not to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. Remember, this is all part of Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
The yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally.
Oh boy.
Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Woo, more money.
Yeah. So thoughts on that?
Did we see that going? Yeah, any other way? I mean, of course.
Was that one of the only times she's been able to do that? Was involved in taxing tips? That's pretty good. You couldn't.
She looked very pleased with herself to be doing that too.
Oh, absolutely. But that, that's a lot of the libertarian parties across the country have done this great thing where it looks like a business card, where it explains that this is not a tip, this is a gift. And according to IRS regulations, you can receive up to $14,000 worth of these tax free. And then you flip it over and it's like, go to libertarianparty.org to learn more libertarian, or whatever their affiliate page is, it links it to that.
I like that.
And a little QR code. And I mean, that's how. Why do we stop there? Why do we stop at not taxing tips? Why can't we just not tax income? It's kind of a no-brainer. But it's this is the Hegelian dialectic in action, and it's happened. This one politician has been on both sides of it her whole career, and she's leveraged it to her advantage both times. So just pay attention to that. That's all I would say.
Yeah.
Well, they can't. There's no platform for her at the moment. She's released nothing in regards to a platform. She's running kind of at the seat of her pants at this point. Whoever's running her kind of shit doesn't know what's going on. So they jumped on Trump's because Trump's was gaining a lot of headway because it's a great idea to not tax tips during what I would say is a recession. So, they can't fact check her fast enough to double check for these things. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of this shit because she's a huge problem. They weren't ready for this.
In a month or so, she'll be like, "We're gonna build a wall. We're gonna build a big, beautiful wall,
defended by beautiful dogs." Yeah.
I think my favorite parts are like when she says something that she's gonna do, and people are just looking at it, going like, "But you're in office right now. You can try to help this right now. Why don't we do this right now?" It's like, well,
she promised to bring down prices. Like, well, number one, you can't. Number two, if you can, just do it.
Right. That would have been nice, like this whole time. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
is this something where you guys are like, oh yeah, they're just pandering, this will never actually happen? Or do you think that Trump would follow through on this, or Kamala would
Trump would absolutely follow through on it, because this is something that I think could be handled by an executive order. Somebody smarter than me in political processes might be disagreeing with that. But I really feel like, Trump could make headway on this just using the bully pulpit of the presidency. And I feel like with Kamala, she will say one thing and do another, because we just watched it happen right before her eyes with her very short political career. She's going to say what she has to get in power. And then once she has the power, she's going to do whatever the hell she wants. She's going to do whatever the bottom of her glass of Pinot tells her to do.
Is Pinot red or white? I forget.
That's a red.
So you think she's a red wine person?
Yeah.
You can make the grape is red. You can make whatever wine out of it, but typically it's red.
I buy into that she's a white wine drinker because she can't have her teeth stained. It can't be obvious. You know, she's like under the radar. So
yeah, well, maybe she's a blush kind of gal.
That's true.
Because you know she can't make up her mind, right?
The rosé drinker.
Yeah.
Tell you what
how about
happens.
that?
Yeah.
Let's just do all of
it.
All right. Let's laugh at some journalists for a minute. So here's someone from CNN on with Stephen Colbert, which I can't even imagine what that audience is like. Random tourists.
Colbert's audience now?
Yeah, like people in New York City, random tourists passing by who are like,
I feel like 10 years ago, they were cool. And anymore? Oh my God, no.
Well, this might be their coolest ones. Let's check this out.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes it. I know.
Is that supposed to be a lav line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Oh, oh man, Colbert. I remember when he ran for president and he got sponsored by Doritos, and the FEC told him he couldn't do that. That was a gangster move right there. It was so great.
You can only be sponsored by Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, right. Because
that
was, and he wrote a decent book too. The one "I Am America" and "So Can You."
And so can you, yeah.
Yeah, and it came with 3D glasses in it. Yeah,
yeah. That was when he was actually hadn't sold his soul yet.
Exactly.
He used to be funny.
Yeah, I used to be a big fan of his, dude. And then the whole vaccine thing came out, and he clearly someone was slipping him some bonus money under the table or something. Man, he just really bit and went up to one side. But
yeah, I remember when he was just a guest on the Jon Stewart Daily Show. That's when he was the funniest.
Yeah, dude, Jon Stewart's, a G. Like, I still love Jon Stewart. He still hasn't. I might not agree with everything he says, but he hasn't sold his soul.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, he's also been retired, so it's one of those things like martyr syndrome, where. Yeah, I mean, he's just now kind of coming back into it.
He's yeah, I was gonna say he did sort of, but he's back on the scene lately. But yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. Had he been around this entire time, we might be looking down on him just as much.
I wondered a similar thing. I've asked that. Like, did he, because of the time away from it, did he retain his humanity? You know what I mean? Or if he was playing the game the whole time?
He did do that.
Some things he's fine on, but during Trump's trial for the money, the real estate property shit, Stewart jumped on Trump for that. And then Stewart did the same thing in New York as well. Somebody dug up some of his records, and they were like, "Oh, look what you did! You did the same thing Trump did." And he's like, "Well, it's not the same
because
thing.
It's a common practice.
It's not the same. I'm not
common.
Right. Yeah.
I just say that clip that highlights a very natural human reaction to something that you think is absolutely ridiculous to say out loud, and they can't plan for that at all. As much as they want to, you can't plan for that.
That's why I said I don't agree with him on everything, because I try to distance myself from idolizing someone. I very rarely just go anything that person says I'm for or against, right? Because it's case by case and it's whatever, and but in general, I tend to find that among the comedic sort of personalities in the whatever news, entertainment, media, it's all just one giant conglomerate bullshit anyway. He's one of the only ones that I like more often, and most people I can't stand but I hear you, and I'm glad you brought up that case, Sean, because no one's perfect, and no one has a perfect track record. I'm not going to agree with everyone 100% of the time.
No, I can't stand Jon Stewart's woke shit. I absolutely can't stand it. But I will say, as now a disabled firefighter, what he has done for the firefighters and the police officers in New York City from 9/11 and the cancers and all this stuff, he was a huge proponent of getting those families money and services for their sick loved ones. So as much as I can't stand some of the shit that comes out of Jon Stewart's mouth, I have a huge amount of respect for the guy for putting his time out and helping those people out. It was a big deal. So
I didn't know this about you, Sean. That's an interesting just tidbit about you. Is this our first time meeting, by the way? I feel like you guys have said like, oh,
I think it might be. Yeah, I've been on with Steven, definitely. Yeah, I think it's probably. I've only been on a few times, but yeah. Yeah, I used to be. I was a career firefighter and a paramedic up until after COVID. So
right on. Okay, yeah, good to know. We eventually, one day want to do some kind of a 9/11 type whole giant conversation thing. And one of the angles that I have taken and looked into it was actually the EPA was diluting samples that were coming from ground zero by up to 25% or more, with water before they were saying that it was safe to, breathe and all of this other stuff. And why? What isn't your job to not make it look safe, but tell people when it's not safe? And that's a whole thing. And there was a whistleblower on the EPA that was tried to be, they were fired, and then they sued, and then they had to be rehired or re-promoted or whatever. And there was a whole thing about it. But there's a whole chapter of it that's in the aftermath and the cleanup. And there's actually more people that have died from that they suspect from the cancers and things like that. It's almost twice as many people have died after the fact than the event itself, because of the different harmful asbestos and various other things that they're breathing in. And anyway,
you'll see Jon Stewart in front of Congress just railing on them with all of those facts.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was the top show on cable television.
Which he, and again, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think there's a certain, I'm interested in that even existed in this country at a time where someone that had that many viewers and had that much, attention in this country was not fully agreeing with everything that we were told about something like 9/11 or something. So he earns some of my respect, at least, for things like that.
Well, I mean, concessions were made for him to have that freedom. And
that's
it's like what Sean was saying, the woke shit. Yeah, that's because when he came back, he had something to say. And
right.
It sucked.
Yeah.
Right. He'd go. I don't know if you guys remember, but he'd have those back and forths with O'Reilly, and he would make O'Reilly he's a boomer conservative. He'd kind of go up and down him a little bit, and he was pretty good at it. But then you get out, a decade from there, and you're like, well, now you're kind of sounding an awful lot like the other side's woke nonsense, where you're on board, you're trying to say things are ridiculous, or you're trying to call out pop culture references, and it just kind of it lost something. The pulse that he had on making that funny somehow disappeared, and I don't know where
I'll tell you what
or
happened
why.
with that. My theory on that is Alan Colmes died. When we lost Hannity and Colmes, the ability for two people to go at each other comedically, politically
Hannity's
on TV, done.
His partner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Alan Colmes. Yeah,
Gotcha.
he was the funny Democrat that could slap box with Hannity on TV.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, take it and dish it.
Score points and lose with dignity and still be funny and roll with it.
Right. Had a sense of humor. I feel like that's what's missing from a lot of things in people now is having a sense of humor and being able to kind of take a hit, roll with it, and not just get just uber offended. And
right
after that, they had the five, and they allowed one of them to be a Democrat rather
than the five.
All right, let's watch that one more time because that's funny.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a. I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I love that it got an organic laugh, honestly.
Yeah. And again, I go back to thinking about like the type of person in that audience. It's like, who goes to see Stephen Colbert? Like, I would have assumed it was people who would have been like, oh yeah, CNN, we love CNN.
That's what,
but I guess
it
not.
says so much more that those people in that audience still laughed at this. Like, because exactly, I think it is more likely that it's those type of people. And so it says even more that it got a laugh.
Yeah.
That was the CNN consumer, and they are no longer the CNN consumer.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a real CNN consumer. CNN is a bot account. Yeah.
It couldn't have happened to a nicer person either. She's the one who brought Trump on like last year or whatever when he was making rounds again politically. She was the one who had that interview with Trump where the left went ballistic because they couldn't believe that CNN gave Trump a platform.
Oh,
that was she was the interviewer.
Platform, like,
ooh,
they were super upset that that CNN gave Trump a platform at all, because everything Trump says is misinformation, right? You can't believe a single word that he says. So if you give him a platform and you let him speak publicly, then that's the worst thing you could ever do.
The only thing to do here is to silence him, right? Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Well, going back to what we were talking about with Robert in the beginning of the show, like you almost do have to look at it through a religious lens. It's like they allowed somebody to interview, like, I don't know, Kiss in their church or Metallica or I don't know, goat whore or coat hanger abortion.
Even like, yeah, there you go. Dying fetus. Dying fetus at a Baptist church.
Yeah.
For them, it's like misinformation is just another word for sin. And it's like, well, why did you interview that sinner? Like everything they say is bad. It's like there's no nuance of like, well, were they making good points? Or they making bad points?
Never mind that the people listening can make up their own damn minds, and you know, it's truly an insult to the average American if you're like, no, we can't trust the average American to even hear these farces, even if it was all true, right? What they're saying about Trump or whatever. And I'm not his biggest fan or anything, but it's an insult to the average American, just consumer of media, that you can't decide for yourself what's true or not, like that you can't do your own research. It's really just like a don't do your own research all over again.
Well, they literally say that. Like, what was it there in, was it WikiLeaks? And Andrew Cuomo was like, and you shouldn't look at these.
Yeah,
this is only for the media. It could be illegal for you to look at it.
Yeah,
we're journalists here. We're journalists. Yeah.
Well, that's like, we're the anointed class. We are able to read these without undue influence, and you aren't, citizen.
Don't look into WikiLeaks. Don't look into should you get a shot from whatever. Like, don't look into anything. Apparently.
By the way, while we're on the bait and switch topic, how about RFK this week saying he would accept a cabinet position under President Harris?
Yeah, he pulled a Mike Trump.
I don't buy it at all. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't buy it in the least. I think
you don't think that he really would, or
no? I don't know if he would or not, but I don't think he was trying to get in her cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Any more than he's trying to get into Trump's cabinet.
Do you think he's just trying to appeal to a voter group or something? Or
I don't even think he's really necessarily involved. I think that the RFK, his campaign is. I don't think either side can figure out who he's hurting more. Because he's hurting both sides, so I don't know if they know who he's affecting more. Because he's getting like around 8%, 10% maybe.
Is it like 3, 5, 4, 4, 1, 7? We don't know. Like
so, if RFK's on our side anyways, well, like he's going to be in our. It's like the libertarian play for Trump. Like, if Trump's going to put a libertarian in his cabinet, go vote for Trump instead. Like, it's the same nonsense.
Inverse of that, like kind of
Yeah, and the same. There was an article that came out yesterday evening saying the same thing about Trump with RFK, that the same conversation took place. It was almost like the other side realized, oh no, we can do damage control, just go put out your own anonymous source email that we don't there's no accountability for, so we can stir the conversation up. I don't know. I don't think you would myself. But I mean, hoping a lot from RFK.
It struck me as really weird, like all the crap he went through at the beginning of his campaign, and then the party ostracizing him like they did.
Yeah,
that's my thing, right? Is they basically refuse to run him, and
he got the move.
You can't just do that and then walk away from it. So there was actually they released a thing on RFK's Facebook. They did it on X too, but they did it on RFK's Facebook. And I actually still have it up in my chat that I was in. And he basically says the Democratic Party used to be the party of civil liberties and free speech.
Yeah.
And Harris is the party of censorship, lockdowns, and medical coercion.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't think he was. It goes on more than that too. It goes, she's a
And
war.
he would know, honestly. Yeah.
He calls her a neocon warmonger. So I don't
Yeah.
think he's on board with that. So my theory is that was someone trying to play politics with the media. And since they'll print anything, who gives a shit? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
He's getting the boot from the party the same way that like Bernie Sanders did in like 2016
Yes.
or whatever, where they're like, wait, like you're not playing ball with what we're trying to do, so you're out. Like we're gonna run our show pony here with Clinton again, but
yeah. Well, the irony. Sorry, I'm good.
No, I was going to go to you anyway. So say whatever you're going to say, but then since we only have a few more minutes, we'll wrap up with some funny stuff here in a minute. But tell us all about the American Liberty Caucus that you're apparently now chair of. So go ahead and continue with whatever you're going to say, and then give your plugs and tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the irony of preaching that we're going to lose our democracy and then putting your candidate up without a single vote or a primary win is hilarious and completely hypocritical.
within a republic system that uses these votes that she got zero of, of course.
So a group of us got together after convention. We were pretty disgruntled with the way things happened at the Libertarian National Convention, and we saw some areas in the party that need to be improved. We have a lot of disgruntled people from different caucuses or not affiliated to anybody at all, and we also are seeing, MAGA is going to come to an end relatively soon, one way or another. I don't think Trump's going to be able to pass the torch off to somebody. And I think a lot of Republicans or conservatives typically align with a lot of what the libertarian ideology is, which would be low taxes, no government intervention, Second Amendment rights. And so our idea is that we are trying to grow the caucus within the party to help steer things in a better direction, a more professional direction, and capture a lot of the people that are kind of disgruntled before they maybe exit, or some people are just looking for a new home. So we're bringing a lot of people in there, and our goal long term is to bring people more into the party and give people open the door up for people that may not want to read a bunch of books, and that's not their thing. They're kind of a passive political person, but we can kind of the libertarian name and some of our beliefs like Defend the Guard, things we're trying to support, are making it into mainstream. So our goal, even with the name itself, is to bridge the gap with the libertarian ideology with what we all are kind of taught throughout school with American, how the country was founded, with our founders, the founding principles, basically your property rights and small government, almost no taxes. So it's a bit of a minarchist position. We're trying to bridge the gap. So we're bringing people in. So you can check us out at AL Caucus on X. We are working on a website. We're holding monthly meetings. We just got some membership stuff developed. We have an entire plank thing that we've laid out in our Discord channel, which you can request access to through our X account. We'll give you access to the Discord. You come check us out. We're not an argumentative group. We want to build. We want to grow. We want to bring people in. So that's what we're looking to do. And as we build this from the ground up, which we're doing right now, it will grow. It will get bigger. We'll expand, and we're hoping to make an impact. So come check us out.
Yeah,
I like the foresight on the political landscape and the timing to cast kind of that wide net to maybe catch people that might be, riding the sort of the Trump bandwagon and not necessarily have a home after that, and to see what appeals to these types of people, and to maybe extend sort of the entryway into the libertarian, mindset a little bit.
It's very hard to talk to a MAGA person right now because they are, no matter what, are supporting Trump, which I understand.
Trump,
that I don't blame them, right?
Yeah,
right
Trump's
now,
thing, so right
now he's a thing. He's going to run. They want you to vote for him, right? We just watched this with Rittenhouse. You can't go against that because they're going to lose their minds, right? We just saw this. So that's not the goal right now.
Right.
The goal right now is to get our presence out there, make sure libertarians know that we're out there.
Right.
We are not trying to push a purist libertarian ideology because it turns people off. You can't force people to read this stuff. You can't force people to totally ingrain this stuff. Some people will once they know about it. They're not educated. But other people just want the surface stuff. They just want to know, I want you to have local control at your government level. Hey, you know why your town's messed up? You need people to show up to your government meetings, your local town elections, your school committees. Like, there's solutions here, and you got to know about it. So a lot of it's going to be education, and a lot of it is opening the door to libertarian ideology without the really without the purist mentality that turns people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like autistic level libertarian stuff.
It exists, right? It exists, and it has its place. It absolutely does.
But if you want to grow as a party, you need to appeal to people that don't already believe what you believe. And I think that there's actually a lot of truth to what you're saying, and like in appealing to someone outside of someone that already is there in the like nitty gritty of the libertarian, principles.
Absolutely.
I like the wide net you're casting. Yeah.
My local affiliate just met with a Republican who's running for a state rep seat. The crossover for the topics that we discussed was a lot. Like there were a lot of crossover. The Republicans that are done with overseas wars, too much spending, the deficit's a problem. You can't afford groceries. Like they're done with what's happening. But the solution isn't necessarily in the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is still full of people
spending
who want the wars. They want spending. Yeah. They or they're trying to shoehorn religious stuff in or whatever the problem is. And we're not really on board with that stuff, but we're trying to keep it simple. So keep it simple and catch a wide net of people and bring them in. So that's our goal.
I like it.
And by all means, come check us out. We're a good group of people right now. We're growing. We got almost probably 30 people or so in the Discord. We have a lot of interest once things expand a little bit. We're getting a website up very soon. It's in the works right now. So yeah, come take a look at us, and you'll see us around. I hope. I really do hope this takes off, because it's a good thing.
Hey, is it cool if I drop the Discord link in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, boom.
Yeah, you can check our. Again, we're a couple months in, so if you read our planks and you disagree with something, by all means, you're welcome to just say, "Hey, I don't like this, I don't like that." But we are not our group that's going to hit the everything for everybody. We've tried to expand on what we're doing, and we are still, we're still Americans. We still live in a country, and people have real concerns about the way the country's running, not how, some Ancapiscan may run one day somewhere down the line. It's like, what are we looking at right now? And if you want to be there, that's great, but you have to pass a few steps to get there first. So maybe we help you along the way.
From what I've seen, and I've paid attention, I'm in the Discord. It's not that you're looking to exclude anybody, and I feel perfectly at home being one of those extreme libertarians, but it's a group of action-oriented people who don't want the minor differences to get in the way of actually doing something.
That's a good way to put it. I like that, Zach.
Yeah, so they don't want me coming in there and being like, well, we disagree on 3% of things, so we're going to argue about that rather than getting to work. It's like, no, shut up. Let's get to work.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so AL Caucus on X, and now the Discord link is in the chat. If anyone isn't on X, like some quack said, she is not on X.
Yeah, I'm not on X either. So. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, come and join through the Discord. There's a Start Here channel. It'll tell you a little bit of information about us, what we're doing, and then you can chat in the general chat. Right now, the general chat, I will tell you, somebody who disagrees with a bunch of our stuff just blew it up, and that's totally fine, because he also sent me corrections for our planks, and it's going to bring up a great discussion for us to talk about.
There you go. It's a prompt for just highlighting more points. Like, it's fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Bring it on. I like it.
Yep. All right, so let's end on a few funny videos. This one, Zane sent us. So this is the 2028 Olympics opening ceremony, because it's going to be in LA.
Yes.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, that's the OJ chase, which I've recently learned he wasn't driving. He had a friend driving him.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
I'm fairly sure that's true. I mean, we're known
I'll
for
look into
spreading
this later,
misinformation, so definitely do your own research. But I'm fairly sure a friend was driving and he was like in the crouch down in the back seat.
that would be news to me. That's interesting.
Imagine driving your friend in that situation where you're like, they're going to get us. He's like, no, keep going. And you're like, we're on the freeway in California. This doesn't end well.
Hey, try this glove on while you're driving.
Like,
Yeah.
See if it fits. Driving gloves. They're driving gloves.
I have the habit of always being the responsible friend, where I'd be like, all right, OJ, this has got to end. I'm pulling over.
OJ's DD. Like,
Yeah.
All right. Next one here. Typical negotiation in a pawn shop. And I guess this is from the Pawn Stars.
This is a rock.
Oh,
How much do you want for it?
I want $900 trillion for it.
Look, it might be worth that much, but I have to make sure it's genuine. Let me call my friend. He lives in a gravel pit, so he deals with rocks every day, and he will be able to tell me if this is a real rock or not.
Hey, Rick. Hello. Let me get my microscope out. I'm looking for any signs that this rock is counterfeit. Fake rocks usually include a small camera because they're made by the CIA and used for surveillance, but this one seems to be a genuine piece.
Well, thank you for coming in. So I can offer you a bag of Doritos for it.
Come on, man. Give me $1 billion and we call it a day.
Remember, I have to take all the risks. Plus, I have to repair it, polish it, lick it, rebuild it, find batteries for it, frame it, and hang it on the wall. Best I can do is a corn dog and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, that's a deal.
yeah. In a nutshell, yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend.
So when's the last
Pawn Stars like a lot.
I
she
thought
watches
the birds were fake and they were watching us. Now the rocks are watching us.
Rocks
Like,
are fake.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do I gotta watch out for rocks now?
All those pet rocks you got in the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. So have any of you guys been to a pawn shop recently? Because
Not
like
at
I
all.
probably was in one last when I was like 8 with my dad pawning crap. So.
I was in one last when I was looking for my stolen shit when I lived in Savannah, and I was just checking to see if my Xbox was in our local pawn shops. But
hey, for the last literal minute of the show, we have Zane here.
Hey! I knew you blowhards wouldn't be finished on time.
Well, we were about to play the last funny video, so we may have 2 minutes left, but welcome.
Thanks.
What are you drinking?
Willkommen.
I had wine earlier tonight, but I don't have anything right now.
All right.
What kind of wine was it? Was it blueberry wine?
It was not our sponsor Rabbit Eye Wine. It was an
Pinot
inferior
Noir?
wine.
We were talking about Pinot earlier.
Inferior. All right. Last of the we just watched the funny ones you sent in, the OJ Che and the Pawn Stars. So here's one from Alden. Oops, it needs sound. I'm gonna refresh. Got to hear the first like 2 words.
That cattle produce more pollution than running vehicles. So I have a proposition. I will lock myself in a garage with a cow overnight, and he can lock himself in a garage with a running car overnight, and in the morning we'll discuss the details.
I think he said Bill Gates says
Bill
or
Gates,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which actually, I mean, I just saw it in passing, but I saw recently someone making the claim that cattle are like carbon negative or help the environment because they release a lot of other stuff that's good for the atmosphere.
It all depends
I don't
on
know.
the style of farming.
I choose to believe it.
If cows are eating grass, pooping on the ground, nuzzling around and aerating the soil and have more than just a concrete slab, and they're not fed corn, then they're helping create carbon sinks in the grass and the soil and everything like that. And they're actually helpful for this if you are concerned about the carbon footprint or whatever. But if you feed them just corn and they're in a, concrete floored stable or whatever all the time or whatever, then I don't know. But I tend to think that, we should do a lot more like local, sustainable, like small farming kind of stuff. And so I think more of the problem is the industry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the map of pollution, for cow stuff is like centered in the middle of the country. It's awful. It should not be that way at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cows get
those
naturally
darn cow fields where you're out in the middle of nature and fresh air, but there's a cow nearby.
Yeah, then it's whatever. It's fine. Like they're actually doing. Cows and other livestock are the best tool for reversing desertification. Where if you let like grazing animals into an area that has been like very sandy and low in nutrients or whatever, and like they will convert an area to a carbon sink, where it supports plant life. It can be done really well. Again, it's just giant bullshit farming practices are more the problem here. But
yeah. Well, on that note, real quick, that reminded me of something I need to plug. So thegreatcreate.org, that's coming up next month, very soon, September 27th and 28th at Omaha Brewing near Columbus, Georgia, in Omaha, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I know last time I was here, I was talking about how like I hadn't updated the website. There's a bunch more, and that's still true. I'm awful. So is it
White Oak Pastures is the
segue
for what I was talking about? Yeah.
The keynote speaker is going to be Will Harris of White Oak Pastures, a regenerative rancher, 4th generation cattleman. His meat meets like a standard that I think almost no other pasture. Ranch? That's no other ranch in the country can meet.
It would be called meat in Europe still. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
When in California, it's like legally Play-Doh or something. But it's.
Did you see that Japan recently is trying to turn human feces into meat from the proteins from human shit or whatever? Like, that's an extreme level, but like that's the far end of like what we should be doing anyway.
Hey, we fertilize our crops with it.
Well, that's one thing.
There's a neat documentary if you want to look that one up. It's called Biosludged.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Out of it. And,
can I buy the poop meat from a vending machine on the side of the street like I can everything else in Japan?
Yeah, with your cup of noodles and your soiled panties and yeah.
All right, as long as that's fine.
Right.
The biosludge stuff is almost worse too because they will give it away for free.
Yeah.
So these farmers are faced with like, do I want regular manure that's going to cost me however much,
right?
Or do I just want to like take a risk on this free crap that the county's giving out? Literal crap.
Yeah, it's literal free crap.
Yeah.
And because cows don't take drugs, and so it's just poop and nitrates and whatever. But when you put human feces involved, now you have the pharmaceutical waste in there, and it's not the same like dietarily, and the nitrates and everything aren't the same. But now you've got like toxic levels of like statins and various other things like
lithium.
Whatever.
You get lithium in the crops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's worse is there's municipalities around the country that have started something now where dead bodies can be liquefied.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Matrix.
And then just flushed down the drain, and then that is included in the biosludge. Yeah,
it's the Matrix.
Zach, I saw your name on that. What are you doing for that event?
All right, let me pull it back up. So here's the poster now, which is at least 3 times as many as is on the website. So I'm awful, but we have like Will Harris again, keynote. We have a lot of music going on. Hickory Roots, Miguel Juarez, Colombian Jazz Society. Oh no, Columbus. Sorry, Colombia sounds cool too, but I'm sure Colombia. You know what I mean. Got that little turned around, but I'm on there because I'm going to be doing talk about like secure communication. So I'm going to try to run the gambit of everything from like, oh, you just want to install Signal on your phone. That's one easy way. But then all the way up to, an overview of maybe like ham radio and this new thing called Mesh-tastic that I've been getting into. Just,
I've heard of that. That sounds interesting.
Survey class, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
And some other people here on this poster. We got Mike Meharry coming up from Florida from the 10th Amendment Center. And then he's also part of Banish Big Brother, same group I'm part of. That's all about, stopping this local surveillance and, your city council basically spying on you now. It doesn't even have to be the NSA. Binkley will be there doing man on the street interviews. Like he's been doing a lot of them on his show recently. James Dutton, who's a city council member or a county council member from Spalding County. Thank you. I knew it was an S and I was blanking, but he will be there talking about all sorts of, protect your rights. He's also part of Banish Big Brother, so I'm sure there'll be some.
He's one of the main guys suing the state for the license plate readers in the school zones.
Yeah, and I think he's actually the other keynote. So it'll be Will Harris and James Dutton. So we got cattle, and then we got law. So protect yourself and eat good meat. And then returning people, Edgar Mills. Suzanne Shepherd was a big hit last year with homeschooling and co-ops. So it's going to be a good time. 2 days for $42. And we're all going to be hanging out at a brewery with, all these people kind of mixing it up with everybody. It's not like they're on stage and then they get whisked away. It's, a weekend of hanging out and talking about these sort of ideas. So go check out thegreatcreate.org and join us down there. I think we'll be doing a live Liberty Libations. Banish Big Brother will be there. Binkley will be there. So all the friends of the show. I think Alden might even be there.
I'll be there. Yeah, I'm excited to be there this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited. All right. Last year I was in Washington. I couldn't make it, but
yeah. Anything to plug, Steven?
Not that I'm aware of. You just plugged it. I was going to say Great Create. Rabbit Eye Wine.
Yep. How about you, Zane?
This is always my least favorite part of the episode because it makes me feel like I have nothing going on in my life.
You tuned in just for your favorite part here. Yeah.
All right.
I can plug this Tullamore Dew rum cask finished Tullamore Dew is pretty tasty. That's okay. That's what I've got going on. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh, Knob Creek.
Knob Creek. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't do the what are we drinking thing at the beginning. So I was drinking a White Claw as usual. I guess you had Tullamore Dew. Sean had
money at this point that Zach was drinking a White Claw, and I don't gamble, so
yeah. Did you have anything tonight, Steven?
I was mixing it up between the Monday Night Death Raptor and the New Realm Kick Flipper.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice.
Get that label again.
All right.
There we go.
Well, that's it for us. Jake will be back next week. Thanks all for tuning in. We'll see ya.